It is a truth, universally acknowledged. Snaps to HNS. Hello everybody, this is Margaret. You're on my channel. Welcome to BookTube. Thanks for stopping by. I had intended to do a double or perhaps even triple book tag today, but I'm throwing that out the window because I have just been through a most intense experience called the Historical Novel Society Conference. As of 3 weeks ago, I wasn't sure I was going, and then I just decided to hitch my wagon to a star and cough up the price for a ticket. And it was amazing. Like I said, very intense, lots of things to cover. And so instead of the tags, I thought this would be most interesting if it had my impressions right after the conference and hopefully interest the most people, being very quick to put up. Usually I am not the quickest to put up anything. So let's see if this works. So what I did really quickly, this ended yesterday on Sunday. This is Monday when I'm recording this. I even had to go back through the schedule of over 100 hours of material and count how many talks I'd gone to, because it was just that much of a whirlwind. It started, I think, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with master classes and things you could pay extra for, etc., which I did not do. But starting Thursday, I believe, we had conversation rooms, cozy chats, and a variety of other things before you got going with the general sessions. Here are some statistics for you. Let me read them off so I don't get them wrong. I attended, in the course of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 25 panels or conversation rooms, and they were an hour or two each. I will watch 14 more that I marked for watching. I've downloaded 13 handouts that either went with the talk or were one that I have not yet watched. I've bought 3 books of attendees or speakers so far from the bookstore. I had 24 in-app messages of people that I was trying to connect with, which is a great feature. And as of yesterday, when I counted, 101 Twitter notifications about the conference.
101!
So, lots of stuff going on. And I don't know if that adequately conveys the intensity, but yes, those were the statistics that I pulled together for the conference. And what about general impressions? Well, I had to think about this one as well. Obviously, it was very fun to see people in the chat and talk and kibitz, if you will. But I pulled out 3 things that I thought they really did well. And if anyone from HNS is watching this, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I did not volunteer for the conference, but I have volunteered for the past year as a moderator for the Pacific Northwest chapter of HNS, and that's just for free, doing that as a meeting every month. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest or write about it, feel free to join our chapter on Facebook. We have cool social hours. But anyway, thank you to the volunteers, and here are the things I thought were amazing about this conference. Number 1, it is a truth, universally acknowledged, that HNS had excellent tech. I cannot count how many times I heard people on the social wall, equivalent of a Facebook wall for the event, saying, I can't believe how well this is done. You guys really are prepared for every eventuality. Oh my gosh, this is so smooth. And I really found that to be true. So I'd never been in Event Moby before, and I was a little trepidatious going in because I've been to a few other conferences that weren't so well run, and being an event organizer myself, I thought, oh gosh, what are we in for? But however they did it, however they got consultants or contractors or whatever, it went really smoothly. They had a flexible format with Zoom, going to Vimeo where it was hosted, going to EventMobi where it was accessed by people who had paid to watch. And we have access to those recordings for 90 days, so I'll have plenty of time to get my extra 14 watch hours in. But along with the excellent format, they had set expectations. So this is one of the things that, as an event organizer, I know this is difficult to do beforehand. You have to choose what you think your audience is going to want or think is worthy. They decided to go with recordings for 90 days after the events, which I think is going to be plenty. and not make recordings for the more informal conversation rooms, which also seem to be okay, and provide live transcriptions. And this is like the bonus round of like the expert level.
Creme de la creme a la Edgar.
I don't know how they did that because that's usually super expensive. It must have been an automated feature. I really want to know how they did that. Okay, so that was a great part about the set expectations so that people are all on the same page and they know what they're getting for the ticket that they're spending money for. The last thing about the tech that I thought was so great was that they had all the headliners, all the general sessions, the things that were advertised, in addition to space for attendee-led editions. So in like the few hours of the day that were not already scheduled in, they had room for people to do extra conversation rooms if you wanted to make up a conversation room about Regency historicals, or make up one about fight methods, or make up one about LGBTQIA. And so that flexibility, again, just made the whole virtual tech part feel that much more close and warm and cuddly. So amazing. Number 2, which I thought was awesome, was quality topics and speakers. This is sort of like the meat of the thing. You can't do a good conference if you don't have the goods, if you will. They had both topics of the moment that were trending, that were on everyone's mind, as well as evergreen topics that were probably better for people who were coming for the first time. And it seemed like there were a lot of first-timers commenting and such. So they found a very good balance, and they found some very good names and people who had very engaging speaking styles. So A+. The third thing was the amount of responsibility I saw. And again, this is like the magic behind the scenes of volunteers, because as a volunteer, I know that HNS doesn't have a big budget. So how did this happen? Everybody had their roles to fill, and they filled every slot. So for every talk, and like I said, there was over 100 hours of material. For every talk, there was a panel of 1 to 4 or 5 people speaking, as well as a moderator who introduced everybody and a question and answer wrangler who took everyone out at the end. So it wasn't too much for any one person for each hour, for each panel, but it also covered all your bases. Just side note here, I'll say with A Mighty Blaze, we have a similar sort of back structure where we have a producer and we have a fanner, and so we try to divvy up roles. It's different for every show because every host in charge of the show has a different preference for who does what and how much they're willing to handle on the tech end. But having that under my belt for almost a year, yes, for a year now, it was very clear to me that they had made those decisions early, and sort of everyone put their name down and was gung-ho for this. So that was just so well done. So again, kudos. Like, how many times can I say this? Many, many more. Let's see. So yes, and then they had volunteers for the conversation rooms as well. And the conversation rooms were run instead of broadcasting, instead of a Zoom webinar, they were Zoom meetings. So you could see everybody, whereas the general sessions, you just saw people in chat. So familiar with these differences as well. The Zoom meetings, super fun. You could see people, you could hear people, you could make faces, you could do filters. I had a filter of a beret for the historical fashion conversation room after I finally figured it out, and that was just chef's kiss. So it was just so much fun to be expressing your weird historical nerd self with all these other people who have a much higher likelihood of really getting that portion of you, of me. So it was wonderful. Like I said, I have lots of work to do because of all these in-app messages and all these Twitter notifications and all these talks I have to watch. So I got very excited. You'll probably know, if you're watching this and have watched till now, that there's substance work, like how to write, the craft, and like choose things in your story, versus publishing work, which is finding an agent, doing your query, publishing, marketing, etc. And authors have to work on both of these, preferably at different times. But I'm finding fewer and fewer excuses not to like get down to the manuscript stuff, which is good. I just put up an editing update video last week, and I finished the second run through of the manuscript that I'm working on. And it's just one of those, like, there's something that's not fitting, that's not gelling, and this exposure to all these people talking about themes and stories and inspirations was really, really exciting and inspirational in the moment. And the problem is, not the problem, the issue now is that I want to keep that and hold on to that and run with it rather than go, oh, I can do all these Twitter things and all these business things, and get distracted, because you can't do any of those things until you have the solid product. So that's going to be my homework. Along with networking, along with following up these connections that I made, I want to make time this week, now that I'm like recovered from sitting in a chair for 15 hours, make time to work on the book. And I don't know where it's going to be because the table is covered in stuff right now, but I'm gonna be working on that. Hold me accountable. If you have stuff you're working on and you want to form an accountability group, or, you know, just do a sprint or something, those can be very spontaneous. So definitely drop me a line in the comments, or tell me if you went to the conference, what you liked. I saw very few things that I didn't like. The format of the page, when you increased it and decreased it, I finally learned how to increase it so that the ads went away, so that it wasn't constantly something changing in my vision. You know, they had one tech blip for like 2 hours, and then they pivoted to the Zoom meeting and then pivoted back and let people talk about it, and it was transparent. So I have very little that I would even change about this. So yeah, snaps to HNS. So that's it. My brain's just still trying to recover, and my goals, I'll be reporting on those very soon for my mid-year whatever video. But in the meantime, if you've got questions about novel writing, networking, writing craft, and all those things, it's all buzzing in the front of my brain. So lay down your questions and I'll see if I can answer them from what I garnered this weekend. So that's it for today, and I'll be back next week with a double or triple book tag. So ask your questions, make your comments, and I'll be back with normal content next week. Okay, thanks everybody. Talk to you later. So again, kudos. Like, how many times can I say this? Many, many more.